The Pittsburgh Steelers. Sign me up. Good defense. Russell Wilson is starting to get into a bit of a flow. We called question last week into getting Mike Williams over at the deadline, and Mike Williams showed up in a big way on Sunday with that late game touchdown grab, a terrific grab. Russell Wilson is still one of the best deep ball throwers in the game. George Pickens, of course, acrobatic catches left and right. Sign me up. Not only can the Steelers win the division, and I know they haven't played a divisional game yet. They can win the division, but they could also win a playoff game. That's how good I think they are. I think they're very underrated. And Russell Wilson, I'm not saying he can, he will, but he's won a Super Bowl with this type of team in the past. Star-studded defense, keeps everything in front of them, forces turnovers, gets after the quarterback. I mean, it's not as good as the Legion of Boom defense, but you get the point. They have a pretty good running game. They have a couple good offensive threats on receiver, and a pretty good offensive line, and a good coach. Stars are aligning. Russell Wilson doesn't have to do a whole lot. He's undefeated as the starter. Sign me up for the Pittsburgh Steelers and what I saw from them over the weekend.
My overreaction, Colin, is Jonathan Gannon is going to win head coach of the year. I did not have the Cardinals on my bingo card this year. I thought the Cardinals were absolutely going to be finishing in dead last in their division. I thought Seattle, Los Angeles,
You wanted
San
them to get rid of
Francisco.
Kyler Murray a couple weeks ago.
I think everybody did.
Nobody did.
You're the
only one who thought that. Don't give me everybody did. Nobody did.
I think heading into this year, there were some serious questions people were having about Kyler
They
Murray.
were 1-8 without him and 8-9 with him. That's not fair. You're the only one who had complications with him in his contract. No way.
I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people were scratching their head at Kyler Murray and if he was the franchise quarterback.
Oh, God.
And fair play to him, man. He's been doing a great job this year. Guys, I told Colin earlier, a guy was 16-16.
You wanted
ran in
them
for a touchdown, and
Yeah.
and then he sealed the deal against the Jets. I turned the TV off. So fair play to Gannon, fair play to the Cardinals, unlocking Kyler Murray this year. I think it's Coach of the Year just because I did not have the Cardinals on my bingo card of being a contender this year.
Overreaction number 2, I shift to the college sides of things. You know, I was saying it. I don't even know if this is an overreaction at this point. They bled a little bit against Michigan. Indiana is going to be in that Big Ten championship game. And Indiana.
So they beat the Buckeyes.
They sure do. And they're going to take Oregon down to the wire. I don't think they're going to win, but I think that's enough of an overreaction for
Colin,
it to pass.
Michigan stinks. You've told me this. You told me that Michigan stinks.
I know. And they didn't even play that well, and they still won.
Ugh.
Gutsy win by Indiana. Gutsy. I'll take it. Sign me up for Indiana. They got their bye coming up, and then they got Ohio State, and they're basically their Super Bowl of the season on the road. So sign me up. They're going to beat the Buckeyes of Ohio State in 2 weeks, and they're going to be in that Big Ten championship game.
My overreaction, Colin, I don't think the Georgia Bulldogs make the college football playoff.
Do you think they're going to lose this week?
I think it maybe this week, then the week after. I think they're going to bleed a little bit. I understand Tennessee's quote unquote one of their last tough games on a gauntlet of the schedule.
It's them and Georgia Tech.
I think they lose. I think they lose a third. I think that they've been flirting with kind of playing from behind all year long. Right, that's been the theme. Now they were able to make it a game against Alabama, and a lot of probably should have won that Alabama game. Let's be honest here. They made it close against Florida. They were able to pull away against Florida because I don't think the Gators had the Jimmies and the Joes like the Bulldogs. But I think Georgia misses out. I think that's a tough game. If I had to pick a game, it's probably that Tennessee game that they lose.
They lose at home. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I think that Tennessee game is for all the marbles, and they haven't proved to me that they could beat Tennessee. Now Tennessee, let's be honest. I know they beat Alabama. I was about to go to the card. Who have they beat? They've beaten Alabama, who now has risen back to relevancy after that big win against LSU. I think a lot of these teams are alike, Colin. That's the problem. I think a lot of these SEC teams are very similar, and that is good football teams. And I think Georgia is probably going to be an odd man out coming up here for the college football playoff. And talk about not having something on their bingo card. I definitely did not have a 3-loss Georgia team on my bingo card this year.
The one thing I'll say about that is I guess Ole Miss, worked into the antithesis of what Georgia doesn't like to deal with.
Dart went out. Sorry to cut you off. Dart went out in the game, and they were able to.
And that backup Simmons came in and took him down the field to lefty.
He's able to do it.
He played great.
Very shocking.
And they put Dart back in the game, but it was that defense, that pass rush, that really got into Beck's face. They disrupted the heck out of that offense's flow, and they couldn't get anything going. Now Ole Miss can score, so there's that. The one thing I'll say about Tennessee is, yes, they could get after the quarterback as good as any team, so they're going to have to do that if they want to stay in the game. But they can't score to the likes of what an Ole Miss or an Alabama can do. So I'm curious to see how that game will go, and Georgia will be playing backs against the wall. I have no doubt to me at least, it's no time to start doubting Kirby in a big game like that. Georgia's had a really rough go at it. Every week they had a really.
I did that earlier in the year.
And an impossible tough schedule. You just said they're going to lose to Tennessee.
I did that, but I earlier. It's even if they lose to Tennessee, I'm not questioning Kirby Smart. I did that early on in the year, and they've proved that they could go out and play on the road in these big games. It just didn't go their way against Ole Miss. It helps that it's home. But do you have faith in Carson Beck?
No, he stinks.
That's nonetheless, Colin, why I think they're going to lose to Tennessee. Now, Nico I love him. He's a 5-star young quarterback. I think he's maybe a future number 1 pick down the line. But he's still young. He's still, I want to say, learning on the job a little bit at Tennessee. Maybe the lights are too bright for that Georgia game. But I'm sorry, folks. I don't trust Carson Beck as far as I could throw him, and I don't think his head coach does either.
Wow. C-Cat back at the City Play Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. Do you have an overreaction for us?
My overreaction is not an overreaction. It's simply you guys need to be more grateful about the tools that your place of employment, GKB, provides for you to do your job.
I mean, Christian, I can't access my camera.
Christian,
I can't access. I can't access my camera.
You're trying to get
it's not a me problem.
You're trying to get
it's not a me problem.
Trying to get a couple extra cupcakes.
Let me go at him here. That's not a me problem. Okay, this isn't the first time that this has happened. We were live at the beautiful Ksenia. No, I'm going to botch it. Where were we?
Kaseya Center.
We were at the beautiful
Kaseya.
Kaseya.
You both got it wrong. It's Kaseya
we were at the beautiful Miami Heat. We were at the beautiful Miami Heat arena. All right, they were at the beautiful Miami Heat arena. I had Damian Perez on site there and Theo Dorsey on site, who could not figure out how to give access to my camera to access the restream. This is a computer problem. I have a piece of faulty equipment. I mean, Colin thought that there was, a device, a car underneath our table with the noises this thing was making. We have faulty equipment. Colin, you had to send your laptop in, did you? You had to send your laptop in.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
Kicking him under the table, saying, "Go along with my story."
I don't know. Maybe my laptop stinks. I just gave up on it. I'm sending my thing off. And maybe somebody else can make
this.
I
mean, C-Cat, this is.
The computers are a piece of garbage. I don't know what type of cupcake C-Cat's trying to get. At the next company party, that the IT team is going to throw C-Cat a bone with an extra headphone or something like that. But
Colin, if IT wants to come up to you, and go, Riz, you got a faulty piece.
IT's going to agree.
Fair point.
If IT disagrees with us, I don't understand their perspective here. The computers are a piece of junk. Let's call it like we see it. But
you want a football overreaction? I'll give you one here. Cam Ward will be a New York Giant with the number 1 overall pick of this upcoming draft. The New York Giants are just a pit of despair, and they might drag Cam Ward down with them.
Yeah, Jacksonville Jaguars have actually, of all teams, have that number 1 overall pick at the moment. But you're right, the Giants are a mess. They need a quarterback in the worst way. Daniel Jones. We mentioned it last week. He plays hard, but he just doesn't have it. And you can't lose to the Carolina Panthers in Munich, Germany, in that type of fashion, fumbling in the first play of overtime.
God, do you think they regret giving that Dable his job for next season? You think some of these?
I still think they play hard for Dable. This is a quarterback problem.
Okay.
And if you get rid of Dable, then you have to get rid of Shane, and Shane just had a good draft. So I can't necessarily put all the blocks on them. They need a quarterback. That's my takeaway on that.
It's a lost season. I'll agree with you there. Chalk it up to a loss.
And it's a tough division. So I can't necessarily, pin my ears back on the coaching staff when Daniel Jones just has a slew of his own issues. Well, that was Overreaction Monday, presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3 with Russo and Rizzo. Go check out the Hard Rock Bet app now. It's got plenty of parlays on that Discover page. Monday Night Football, of course, tonight between the Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles Rams. We'll give our picks at the end of the show. On that end, we got to speak with somebody who could give us some